The Silent Guardian. Captain Maya Patel stood at the viewport of the UES Trickster, watching distant stars shimmer through the ship's grimy, scratched windows. To any observer, the vessel appeared to be nothing more than an aging merchant freighter, its hull marked with rust patches and crude repair work. The Zoraxian patrol ships that regularly passed by barely gave them a second glance, exactly as intended. Another battle group just dropped out of hyperspace. Captain Lieutenant Sarah Wong reported from her sensor station, carefully masked as outdated cargo monitoring equipment. That makes 20 capital ships in the Helios sector this week. Maya nodded, her expression neutral as she studied the holographic display disguised as an old-fashioned radar screen. The Zoraxians, like most species in the Galactic Alliance, saw humanity as primitive newcomers who had somehow stumbled their way into faster-than-light travel. The Trickster's carefully crafted appearance only reinforced that perception. Its whole design seemingly decades behind current standards, its engine signature deliberately irregular, its communications always slightly delayed and garbled. "Are they scanning us?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. Sarah smiled. "They barely spared us an energy pulse. Their sensor operator probably thinks we're not worth the power expenditure." That was exactly what they wanted. While the Zoraxian warships proudly displayed their crystalline technology, the Trickster's true nature remained hidden beneath layers of deliberate deception. Each patch of apparent rust housed quantum sensors far beyond anything the Alliance had developed. The irregular engine signature masked a propulsion system that could outmaneuver anything in known space. Even the ship's seemingly outdated communications array contained technology that could crack the most sophisticated encryption in microseconds. "Message from Fleet Command," announced Communications Officer James Chen. "They're seeing similar fleet movements in 5 other sectors. The Zoraxians are definitely up to something." Maya moved to the command chair, its deliberately worn appearance concealing enough computing power to run a small city. The Trickster was humanity's masterpiece of misdirection, the culmination of centuries of learning to survive through cunning rather than brute force. While other species raced to build bigger ships with more powerful weapons, humanity had taken a different approach. "New contact," Sarah reported suddenly. Zoraxian diplomatic vessel heading toward their embassy station. "They're broadcasting in the clear." She paused, listening through her neural interface. "They're discussing something called Operation Sunfall. Record everything," Maya ordered, "especially any subspace frequencies they think are secure. And make sure our transponder is still broadcasting that request for engine parts. As far as they're concerned, we're just another struggling merchant ship waiting for repairs." The bridge crew worked in practiced silence, each member playing their role in humanity's greatest deception. They were the watchers in the darkness, gathering intelligence that could mean the difference between survival and extinction. For 2 years, the Trickster had drifted through Alliance space, appearing to all as nothing more than an example of humanity's technological backwardness. "Captain," James called out, his voice carrying an edge of urgency, "I'm picking up some interesting cross-traffic between the diplomatic vessel and the battle group. They're using their new quantum encryption." But he smiled. "They still haven't realized we broke that months ago." Maya moved to James's station, studying the decoded transmissions. Her eyes narrowed as she read, the pieces of a puzzle falling into place. They're not just building up their forces, they're positioning them. These aren't random patrol movements. They're setting up a coordinated strike. "Target?" Sarah asked. "Us. All of us. Every human world and outpost in Alliance space." Maya straightened, her mind racing through implications and possibilities. They finally decided to solve the human problem. The Zoraxians, like many species in the Alliance, saw humanity's rapid expansion into space as a threat to galactic stability. Humans were too unpredictable, too adaptable, too willing to ignore established conventions. The fact that humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel using methods the Alliance considered impossible had only heightened their concerns. "They think it will be easy," Maya said, more to herself than her crew. A swift, overwhelming strike against a primitive species that barely understands the technology they're using. They'll expect token resistance at best. She allowed herself a small smile. They have no idea what they're walking into. The Trickster was just one of hundreds of similar vessels scattered throughout Alliance space, each one appearing as nothing more than an outdated merchant ship or patrol boat. But together, they formed humanity's first line of defense, an invisible web of sensors and intelligence gathering that had mapped every Alliance military installation, tracked every fleet movement, and decoded every secure transmission for the past 2 years. As her crew carried out their orders, Maya returned to the viewport. Through the scratched glass, she watched another Zoraxian warship glide past, its crew probably smirking at the primitive human vessel that couldn't even maintain its own engines properly. They had no idea that their every movement, every communication, every weapon signature was being recorded and analyzed by the very ship they dismissed as irrelevant. The Zoraxians thought they were being clever, positioning their forces while the primitive humans remained oblivious. They had no idea that their every move had been anticipated, every strategy mapped out, every weakness identified. They would learn too late that humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to appear weak when it was strong. Let them laugh, Maya whispered to herself as she watched the Zoraxian ships maneuver. They won't be laughing much longer. Beneath the rust, the Trickster drifted through the debris field of an abandoned mining station, its sensors disguised as damaged hull plates drinking in data from the surrounding space. Through the ship's quantum processing core, masked as an antiquated maintenance system, Maya watched the Zoraxian fleet's movements with growing concern. "They're bringing in something big," Sarah reported, her fingers dancing across her console's deliberately crude interface. 3 super heavy carriers just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Arcturus sector. Energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before. Maya studied the incoming data, her neural implant, invisible to conventional scans, processing the information in real time. The Zoraxians had developed something new, something they thought would give them the edge they needed against humanity's supposedly primitive defenses. "Show me the carrier's power distribution," she ordered. The holographic display, hidden beneath the appearance of an old-style monitor, flickered to life. What she saw made her breath catch. They've actually done it. They've built phase shift weapons. James looked up from his communications station. "I thought the Alliance considered phase shift technology theoretical." "They did," Maya replied, her mind racing through the implications. "But the Zoraxians have obviously moved beyond theory. These weapons could pass right through conventional shields and hull armor as if they weren't there." She allowed herself a grim smile. "Good thing we don't rely on conventional defenses." The bridge crew shared knowing looks. While the Alliance races had focused on developing bigger guns and stronger shields, humanity had taken a different path. The Trickster's true defensive systems were woven into its very structure, quantum-entangled particles that could redirect energy attacks through subspace, metamaterials that could bend both light and force around the ship like water around a stone. "Message from the Nightshade," James announced, referring to another of humanity's disguised vessels. "They've detected similar carriers in the Centauri sector. The Zoraxians are coordinating with the Hexene Collective." Maya's expression hardened. The Hexene were known for their expertise in biological warfare, their viral agents capable of targeting specific genetic markers. "They're not just planning an invasion," she realized. "They're planning to eliminate us entirely." "Captain," Sarah called out suddenly, "one of the carriers is moving to scan this sector. Their sensors are far more sophisticated than anything we've seen before." "Perfect," Maya replied, surprising her crew. "Let's give them something to find." Deploy the Legion. Deep within the Trickster's hull, systems that appeared to be nothing more than cargo handlers hummed to life. Microscopic machines, millions of them, poured out through what looked like hull breaches, but were actually carefully designed emission ports. To any observer, they would appear to be nothing more than metal dust, debris from the ship's apparently poor maintenance. "Legion deployed," Sarah confirmed. They're dispersing according to pattern alpha. The nanomachines spread through space, each one carrying a fraction of the most sophisticated sensor package ever created by human hands. Together, they formed a web of observation that could map every system, every weapon, every weakness of the approaching carrier. They're launching fighters, James reported. Standard patrol pattern. They'll pass within visual range. Excellent, Maya said. Engineering. Make sure our port engine shows that power fluctuation we've been struggling with. Let's look extra pathetic for our visitors. The Zoraxian fighters swooped past the trickster, their sensors probing what appeared to be a struggling merchant vessel. They recorded exactly what humanity wanted them to see: outdated systems, failing power plants, and a crew seemingly oblivious to the mighty warships moving into position around them. They're transmitting their scanned data to the carrier, James announced. Full technical analysis of our capabilities. He chuckled. Or what they think are our capabilities. Maya nodded, watching the Legion's data stream in. The nanomachines had already mapped the carrier's entire internal structure, identified its weak points, and analyzed its weapons systems. Most importantly, they had confirmed what Maya had suspected. The phase-shift weapons had a critical vulnerability that the Zoraxians hadn't even realized existed. Send everything to Fleet Command, she ordered. Full quantum encrypted burst transmission. And make sure to include our usual distress calls about needing engine parts. We need to maintain our cover for just a little longer. As her crew carry out their orders, Maya reflected on the irony of their situation. The Alliance races had always looked down on humanity's seemingly primitive technology, never realizing that what they saw was merely the surface of a deception so deep it bordered on art. While they proudly displayed their technological achievements, humanity had learned to hide its true capabilities beneath layers of carefully crafted inadequacy. The carrier is moving off, Sarah reported. They're satisfied we're not a threat. Just another broken-down human ship waiting for repairs. If they only knew, Maya murmured. The trickster might appear helpless, but its true weapons remained hidden, waiting for the moment when deception would give way to action. When that moment came, the Zoraxians would learn too late that they had orchestrated their own defeat. Message from Fleet Command, James announced. Operation Mirror is now in effect. All vessels are to maintain current positions and continue surveillance. He paused, allowing himself a small smile. When they make their move, we make ours, Maya finished. She returned to the viewport, watching the Zoraxian carrier disappear into hyperspace. Soon, very soon, the Alliance would learn the true cost of underestimating humanity. But for now, the trickster would continue its watch, gathering intelligence while appearing to gather dust. Let them think us weak, Maya thought. Let them believe their victory is assured. The greatest trap is the one your enemy walks into while believing themselves the hunter rather than the prey. The coming storm. The attack began at dawn, Earth Standard Time, a detail that Maya found grimly amusing. The Zoraxians had timed their strike to coincide with what they believed to be humanity's rest cycle, not realizing that human ships had long since adapted to the rhythms of space rather than any planetary schedule. Multiple hyperspace signatures, Sarah announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. They're emerging simultaneously across all sectors. This is it, Captain. Operation Sunfall has begun. Maya watched as the tactical display filled with red markers, each representing a Zoraxian warship emerging from hyperspace. The invasion fleet was massive, far larger than even their intelligence had suggested. Thousands of ships, from nimble destroyers to the massive phase-shift carriers, appeared in perfect formation around every major human world and installation. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, James reported. The message is being transmitted in 15 different human languages. He activated the main speakers, allowing the Zoraxian admiral's voice to fill the bridge. People of Earth and her colonies, the voice declared, its tone a mixture of condescension and false sympathy. Your rapid and uncontrolled expansion ends today. For the stability of the galaxy, the Alliance can no longer allow your primitive civilization to endanger established order. Surrender now, and you will be granted a preserved world where your species can develop at an appropriate pace. How thoughtful of them, Maya remarked dryly. Status of the network. All ships reporting ready, Sarah confirmed. The Legion has mapped every vessel in the Zoraxian fleet. We have their complete tactical data, including their phase-shift weapon configurations. Through the viewport, Maya could see the nearest Zoraxian battle group moving into attack position. Their crystalline ships glittered in the starlight, weapons primed and shields at full power. They expected to face outdated human vessels with conventional armaments, crude missiles, and energy weapons that would be useless against their advanced defenses. They're launching the hexene bioweapons, James reported, his voice tight. Dispersal pods entering atmosphere over New Sydney, Mars Colony, and Titan Base. Maya's expression remained calm. Activate the curtain. Throughout human space, microscopic machines that had been seeded into the atmosphere of every colony world years ago suddenly activated. The Zoraxians had no way of knowing that their carefully engineered bioweapons would never reach their targets. The nanite defense network would break down any hostile biological agent before it could affect a single human. First wave of fighters approaching, Sarah announced. They're targeting what they believe are our defense installations. Time to show them their first mistake, Maya said. Signal the Ghost Fleet. Let's give them something real to shoot at. Across human space, holographic projectors hidden beneath the surface of asteroids and space debris activated. Suddenly, the Zoraxians found themselves facing what appeared to be humanity's true defense fleet. Thousands of warships emerging from hidden docks and asteroid bases. The alien fleet immediately divided their forces, moving to engage these new threats. They're taking the bait, Sarah confirmed. 60% of their forces are moving to engage the Ghost Fleet. Maya allowed herself a small smile. The holographic ships were merely the first layer of humanity's true defense strategy. While the Zoraxians wasted energy and ammunition attacking phantoms, the real counterattack was about to begin. Signal from Fleet Command, James announced. Operation Mirror is now active. All ships, execute primary protocol. Throughout human space, vessels like the Trickster, ships that had been dismissed as outdated or broken down, suddenly transformed. Metamaterial hulls shifted, revealing weapons arrays that had been perfectly hidden from even the most sophisticated scans. Engines that had appeared to be barely functional surged with power that defied conventional physics. The Zoraxians are detecting our transformation, Sarah reported, excitement creeping into her voice. They're attempting to regroup, but the Ghost Fleet has them scattered across too many vectors. Show me the nearest carrier, Maya ordered. The tactical display zoomed in on one of the massive ships, its phase-shift weapons powering up to fire on what they thought was an easy target. They're locking weapons on us, Sarah announced. Phase-shift cannons charging. Perfect, Maya replied. Deploy the quantum web. The legion of nanomachines that had been gathering data on the Zoraxian fleet now revealed their second purpose. Moving in precise patterns, they created a field of quantum-entangled particles around the carrier. When the phase-shift weapon fired, its energy would be caught in a web of subatomic connections, turned back upon itself through dimensions the Zoraxians hadn't even discovered yet. All ships reporting quantum webs deployed, Sarah confirmed. Ready for Phase 2. Maya stood from her command chair, watching as the Zoraxian carrier's weapons reached full power. Send the final message to the fleet, she ordered. It's time to show the Alliance exactly what humanity is capable of. The Trickster's true form emerged fully, its hull now gleaming with technology that made the Zoraxian ships look primitive by comparison. Across human space, hundreds of other ships did the same, each one revealing weapons and defenses that had been developed in secret over decades. The carrier is firing, Sarah announced. Maya's smile turned predatory. Let them learn what happens when you underestimate humanity. Execute Phase 2. The battle that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity was about to begin. The hunters were about to discover that they had walked into the prey's domain, and the price of their arrogance would be written in light and fire across the stars. Thunder strikes back. The phase shift beam from the Zoraxian carrier lanced through space, a purple-white blade of energy that should have cut through the trickster like paper. Instead, the quantum web caught the beam, its energy spreading through the nanite-created matrix like lightning through a conductor. For a fraction of a second, the web glowed with trapped power. Web saturation at optimal levels, Sarah reported, her fingers dancing across her now transformed control panel. Ready for reversal. Maya nodded. Show them what happens when you corner a primitive species. Execute. The quantum web collapsed inward, channeling the phase shift energy back toward its source. The Zoraxian carrier's own weapon signature, perfectly replicated but amplified tenfold, struck its hull. The mighty Warship shields, calibrated to deflect conventional attacks, offered no protection against their own phase-shifted energy. Direct hit, Sarah announced as sections of the carrier began to disappear, its matter phased out of normal spacetime by its own weapons. Their primary systems are destabilizing. Throughout human space, similar scenes played out as humanity's disguised vessels revealed their true nature. The Zoraxian fleet, scattered and disorganized by their pursuit of holographic targets, found themselves caught in a web of their own making. Multiple distress calls from Zoraxian command ships, James reported, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. They're trying to coordinate a retreat, but our quantum interference is disrupting their communications. Maida watched as another carrier fell victim to its own weapons, its massive hull breaking apart as phase-shifted energy ate through its structure. Status of their biological weapons. The curtain is holding, Sarah confirmed. The hexin viral agents are being broken down into harmless components. Our colony worlds report zero contamination. On the tactical display, the battle unfolded like a complex dance. The Ghost Fleet, still appearing real to Zoraxian sensors, continued to draw their forces into carefully planned killing zones. Each time they fired their mighty weapons, the quantum webs would catch and return their energy, using their own power against them. New contact, Sarah called out suddenly. The Zoraxian flagship has arrived. Energy readings are off the scale. They've brought their prototype weapon platform. The vessel that emerged from hyperspace dwarfed even the carriers. Its crystalline hull pulsed with power, and at its heart, a weapon unlike anything seen before gathered energy. They're charging their main gun, Sarah reported. Some kind of hybrid technology. Phase shift combined with dimensional warping. Our quantum webs might not be able to contain that much energy. Maida's expression remained calm. They still haven't figured it out, have they? Signal the Nightshade and the Shadow Dancer. Execute Protocol Omega. Two more seemingly derelict human vessels suddenly transformed, their metamaterial hulls flowing like liquid metal as they revealed their true forms. Together with the trickster, they formed a perfect triangle around the Zoraxian flagship. They're firing, Sarah shouted. The flagship's weapon discharged, a beam of pure chaos that threatened to tear reality itself apart. But as the energy reached the triangle formed by the three human ships, something extraordinary happened. The space between them seemed to fold, creating a pocket dimension that caught the blast. Dimensional pocket stable, Sarah reported. Energy containment at 98%. Perfect, Maya replied. Now let's show them what we learned from studying their technology. Return to sender. The pocket dimension collapsed, but instead of releasing the energy randomly, it channeled it through quantum-entangled pathways created by the legion of nanomechanes. The flagship's own weapon energy, amplified and refined by human technology, struck it from three directions simultaneously. The massive ship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, its matter scattered across 1,000 dimensions by the very forces it had tried to harness. Zoraxian fleet is in full retreat, James announced. They're attempting emergency hyperspace jumps, but our quantum disruption fields are making that difficult. Maya watched as the once mighty invasion fleet fell into chaos. Ships collided in their panic to escape, while others found their hyperspace drives refusing to engage, trapped by fields of quantum-entangled particles that the humans had spent years seeding throughout this sector of space. Message from Fleet Command, James called out. All ships report similar success. The Zoraxian fleet is being systematically dismantled across all sectors. Minimal damage to our forces or colonial infrastructure. Send to all hostile vessels, Maya ordered. This is Captain Maya Patel of the UES Trickster. Your attack on human space has failed. Your biological weapons have been neutralized. Your phase shift technology has been turned against you. You have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or face the consequences of further resistance. The response was immediate. Across human space, Zoraxian vessels began powering down their systems. The mighty invasion fleet, which had expected to find easy prey, instead found itself at the mercy of the very primitives they had come to subjugate. Signal from the Zoraxian command network, James reported. They're requesting terms of surrender. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Tell them we'll be happy to discuss terms after they've gotten a good long look at what humanity is really capable of. It's time they learned that appearances can be deceiving, and that underestimating a species because they appear primitive is a very, very costly mistake. A lesson learned. 1 month after Operation Sunfall's catastrophic failure, Maya stood in the grand chamber of the Galactic Alliance Council. The room's crystalline architecture stretched toward the stars, designed to showcase the Alliance's technological sophistication. Now, that same grandeur seemed somehow diminished as representatives from every major species gathered to face a changed reality. The Zoraxian delegation sat in silence, their once proud demeanor replaced by careful humility. Behind them, a holographic display showed the aftermath of their failed invasion. Their mighty fleet reduced to floating debris or captured vessels, their secret weapon platforms now serving as object lessons in the danger of underestimating one's opponents. The human delegation may address the council, announced the chief speaker, a tall Centaurian whose bioluminescent patterns betrayed a mixture of anxiety and respect. Maya stepped forward, her simple uniform a stark contrast to the ornate garments of the Alliance representatives. She wore no obvious technology, carried no visible weapons, yet every being in the chamber knew that appearances meant nothing when it came to human capabilities. Honored representatives of the Alliance, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. 1 month ago, several members of this council decided that humanity was a problem that needed to be solved. They saw our rapid advancement as a threat, our unconventional methods as dangerous, our apparent technological backwardness as proof of our inferiority. She gestured to the holographic display, which shifted to show the trickster and other human vessels in their true form. They were wrong on all counts. Humanity was never primitive. We simply understood something that the Alliance had forgotten. True strength lies not in displaying power, but in knowing when and how to use it. The chamber erupted in murmurs as the display showed the full extent of human technological achievement. Quantum computing cores that made Alliance systems look primitive, metamaterial engineering that defied conventional physics, artificial intelligence that had evolved far beyond simple computation. For centuries, Maya continued, humanity faced extinction-level threats on our home world. We learned to adapt, to hide our strengths, to survive through cunning rather than brute force. When we reached the stars, we brought those lessons with us. She turned to face the Zoraxian delegation directly. Your invasion fleet never stood a chance, not because you lacked power, but because you failed to understand a fundamental truth. Appearance and reality are rarely the same thing. The display shifted again, showing the network of disguised human vessels scattered throughout Alliance space. Even now, you don't know how many of our ships are out there, watching, waiting, protecting. You don't know the full extent of our capabilities, because we choose not to show them. Are you threatening this council? Demanded a Hexene representative, their crystalline form vibrating with indignation. Maya smiled. No, I'm offering you an opportunity. Humanity has no desire for conquest or dominion. We never did. What we want is what we've always wanted: the chance to grow, to learn, to explore. But now we offer something more: the chance for the Alliance to grow with us. She gestured, and the holographic display filled with images of human technological achievements, medical breakthroughs that could extend life by centuries, energy systems that could power entire worlds without pollution, transportation technologies that could reshape the understanding of space and time. We kept these advances hidden because we had to, Maya explained. Because experience taught us that power displayed is power vulnerable. But now we offer to share them with those who are willing to look past their prejudices and work with us as true equals. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Maya continued, her voice softening. The universe is vast, and there are threats out there far greater than any of us imagine. Humanity learned long ago that survival depends not on who has the biggest weapons or the strongest shields, but on who can adapt, who can think differently, who can see beyond the obvious. She spread her hands in a gesture of openness. The choice is yours. Continue to see us as primitives who somehow got lucky, or accept that your understanding of technology, of progress, of civilization itself might benefit from a different perspective. We're not asking you to trust us blindly. We're asking you to learn from your mistakes and grow beyond them. The chief speaker stepped forward. And if we refuse, then nothing changes, Maya replied simply. We'll continue to protect our interests, hidden in plain sight. Your ships will pass our vessels without a second glance, never knowing the power that watches them from behind a veil of rust and outdated technology. But you'll always wonder, always question, always fear what else you might have missed. The chamber erupted in discussion, representatives hurriedly conferring with their governments through quantum channels. Maya waited patiently, knowing that the seeds of change had been planted. Finally, the chief speaker raised his hands for silence. The Alliance recognizes that mistakes were made. We propose the formation of a new council, one where humanity will have an equal voice in shaping the future of our galaxy. Maya nodded. We accept, with one condition: that the Alliance remembers the lesson learned here. Judge not by appearance, but by action. Fear not what seems different, but seek to understand it. For in this vast universe, survival belongs not to the strongest or the most advanced, but to those wise enough to learn from their mistakes. As she left the chamber, Maya allowed herself a small smile. The trickster waited in orbit above, it tall once again appearing worn and outdated. Let them wonder, she thought, how many other secrets humanity still kept hidden. Sometimes, the greatest power lies not in what you reveal, but in what you keep concealed.